Hello, and welcome to Aveda Hair Color Systems. I'm Lindsay with Aveda, and today I'm going to introduce you to the basic components of Aveda Hair Color. You might ask yourself, why should you choose Aveda Hair Color? And we have some really great points of difference that set us apart from other hair color lines. Our hair color as a whole is up to 99% naturally derived, and we use plant ingredients rather than petrochemicals. We are a cruelty-free company, so we don't do any animal testing on any of our products. We are manufactured with 100% certified wind power, and our hair color gives essentially damage-free results. Before we can talk about formulating hair color, it's really important to have a firm understanding of basic color theory. If you look at the color wheel, we break it down into two different illustrations. We have primary colors and tertiary colors. Let's focus on the tertiary colors and, more importantly, complementary colors. If we look at colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel, that gives us our complementary colors. Violet will neutralize yellow, blue will neutralize orange, and green will neutralize red. The same rules apply for hair color. Because Aveda Hair Color is so customizable, it's really important to remember basic color theory when you're choosing your hair color formulation. The second part of color theory that's going to be really important for you to know is natural remaining pigment. Natural remaining pigment is the tonal value that hair contributes as it lightens. When we are lifting our guest's hair, we are exposing what's underneath. If I'm lifting my guest to a level 7, it's important for me to know that I'm going to be exposing a natural remaining pigment that is orange. If I want to see that orange, I could choose to enhance it, or if I don't want to see it, I could neutralize it. This is going to be important for you to remember when you're choosing your hair color formula. Let's talk about the components of Full Spectrum Protective Permanent Cream Hair Color. To make it easy for you to understand, we've divided our full spectrum permanent hair color into 3 different components. We have bases, color components, and color catalyst. For our bases, we have 4 different options. We have our natural series, we have intense base, extra lifting cream, and universal 0N. For our color components, we have 3 different options for you. We have pure tones divided into dark and light categories. We have our pastel tones, which will mix with our extra lifting cream. And then we have pure pigments. For color catalyst options, we have 5 through 40 volume. An example of a formulation equation for full spectrum permanent would be mixing your base with your color catalyst, which would give you hair color. A very basic example of that would be choosing a level 4 base with a 10 volume color catalyst, and that would give you level 4 hair color. If you chose to customize this even further, you could choose a level 4 base, add a color component with your color catalyst, and that would give you level 4 hair color with tone. With full spectrum permanent hair color, you can achieve 4 results. You can get natural results using the natural series. You can get intense results using intense base. You can achieve extra lift blonde results using extra lifting cream. And you can also achieve even more customized results with universal 0N. A great point of reference for you is going to be the customization mixing chart. If we look at our mixing chart, on the far left, you'll see levels 1 through 10. Level 1 being the darkest hair color, and level 10 being lightest blonde hair color. Something to note is that we divide our levels into light and dark categories. Level 6 and below is considered dark, and levels 7 through 10 are considered light. Above level 10, we have extra lifting cream, which will be our high lift blonde series. And then at the very top of the chart, we have universal 0N, which is our clear colorless base. Let's start by talking about how to achieve natural results using permanent hair color. The first base we're going to talk about is the natural series. The natural series is a series of 10 shades from levels 1 being the darkest to level 10 being the lightest. This is going to be ideal for gray coverage, and we have light and dark levels. Levels 7 through 10 are considered light, and levels 6 and below are considered dark. Next, we have our pure tones. If you want to take your formula even further and customize it, you can add light or dark pure tones to your formula. For levels 6 and below, we have dark pure tones, and for levels 7 through 10, we have light pure tones. An example of a formulation for a permanent hair color formula would be 40 grams of your natural series with anywhere from 2 to 8 grams of your pure tone. We've made a little rhyme to help you know when to use the correct amount of pure tone, and that rhyme is 2, 4, 6, 8. This is how we formulate. If you look at your paper mixing chart, you'll see that a standard formula for a level 10 will contain 2 grams of light pure tone. When we move down to a level 9, we'll be using 4 grams of pure tone. A level 8 will contain 6 grams of pure tone, and a level 7 will contain 8 grams of light pure tone. When we move down to level 6, it starts all over again using dark pure tone. So a level 6 will contain 2 grams of dark pure tone, all the way down to a level 3, which will contain 8 grams of dark pure tone. If you look at your mixing chart, you'll notice that levels 1 and 2 are not recommended for customization, and that's just because levels 1 and 2 are so dark that it will be really difficult for you to see the tone. Let's talk a little bit about gray coverage. When your guest needs their gray covered, you're going to want to use the natural pure tone in your formula. The natural pure tone is additional pigment to really help you cover those stubborn grays. We have 2 different options for you when you need gray coverage. If your guest is resistant and they need maximum gray coverage, you will want to make sure that your formula contains the natural pure tone and that you are using 20 volume color catalyst and processing for 30 minutes. An example of a formula for gray coverage would be 40 grams of 4N with 6 grams of dark NN pure tone and 40 milliliters of 20 volume color catalyst. That would process for 30 minutes. We also have an option for sheer coverage. If your guest wants something lower maintenance, or if they don't want 100% gray coverage, you would just omit the natural pure tone from your formula. We would still use 20 volume color catalyst, and it would be a 45-minute processing time. Some tips for gray application: make sure that you're taking small subsections. We would recommend using a 1/4 inch or even smaller in some cases if your guest has very resistant or very thick hair. Also be sure that you're saturating the hair thoroughly. If you're not using enough product and it's not saturated, you won't get the coverage that you need. And then make sure that you're starting in the most resistant areas first, so that those areas have an opportunity to process as long as possible. Let's talk about the second result that we can achieve with permanent hair color, and that is intense results. Intense base is a clear, colorless base that gives us intense reds, coppers, and violets. Because it's clear, it's not designed to be used alone, and it's not ideal for gray coverage. The formulation for an intense formula is a little bit different than a standard formula. We're still going to have 40 grams of our base, only now we're combining 2 different bases together to give us that intense result. So a formulation for an intense formula would be 30 grams of our intense base with 10 grams of your natural series. It's really important that we have those 10 grams of the natural series because that's what's going to determine your level. Once you have 40 grams of your base, you will then add 4 to 16 grams of pure tone. Because we want really intense, vibrant results, we're going to be using double the amount of pure tone for our formulas. We also have another rhyme to help you remember how much to use for intense formulas, and that rhyme is 4, 8, 12, 16. This is how our reds will scream. If you look at your paper mixing chart, you'll see an intense formulation area on here that you can reference when you're doing an intense formula. For example, if we want to achieve a level 10 lightest intense copper, we would use 10 grams of our 10N with 30 grams of intense base and 4 grams of light orange-red pure tone. If we move down to a level 7 medium intense copper, we would use 10 grams of 7N with 30 grams of intense base and 16 grams of light orange-red. Let's talk about our options for color catalyst when we are doing natural or intense formulas. For color catalyst, we have 5 different options. Our 5 volume is going to give you 0 to 1 level of lift, and it will process for 20 minutes. Our 10 volume will give you 1 level of lift, and it will also process for 20 minutes. 20 volume will give you 2 levels of lift in a 30-minute processing time. 30 volume will give you 3 levels of lift in a 40-minute processing time. And 40 volume will give us 4 levels of lift with a 45-minute processing time. The third result you can achieve with permanent hair color is blonde results. And to get blonde results, we would use our extra lifting cream. Extra lifting cream will give us customized blonde shades with up to 5 levels of lift. It can be used alone with a color catalyst for natural blonde results, or you can mix it with pastel tones for tonal blonde results. If you want to customize your blonde formula and add pastel tones, there are 3 tones for you to choose from. We have pastel violet, pastel blue, and pastel yellow orange. Everything goes back to the color wheel. So if you're trying to neutralize yellow in your blonde, you would want to add pastel violet to your formula. If you are trying to neutralize orange, you would want to add pastel blue. And if you are trying to enhance warmth, you could add pastel yellow orange to your formula. Some formulation tips for blondes with extra lifting cream. Extra lifting cream is designed to be used on levels 6 and above, and we recommend using it with 30 or 40 volume color catalyst for maximum lift. It is also mixed in a 1:2 mixing ratio with color catalyst, and the processing times are a little bit different than with a natural or an intense formula. If you want to achieve 4 levels of lift, you would use 30 volume color catalyst, and it would process for 30 minutes. If you needed to achieve 5 levels of lift, you would use 40 volume color catalyst, and it would process for 45 minutes. An example of a formulation for a high lift blonde would be 40 grams of your extra lifting cream with anywhere from 2 to 8 grams of your pastel tone with 80 milliliters of your color catalyst. It's important to remember here that a standard formula with extra lifting cream will contain 4 grams of pastel tone. Should you choose to use less, you could use 2 grams of pastel tone, and you also have the option of using more if you need more intensity, which would be 8 grams of pastel tone. Let's talk about our components for Enlightenment blonding. Our Enlightener Powder Lightener is a low-dust powder lightener for use on all levels. It is used for both on and off the scalp applications. It can be used alone with your color catalyst, or you can combine it with Enlightener Cream Booster for additional lift. Our Enlightener Cream Booster is mixed exclusively with Enlightener Powder Lightener. It is going to deliver ultimate lift and brightness for on or off the scalp applications. It will accelerate the decolorization process by up to 15 minutes, and it will help prevent the scalp from irritation. The key ingredients in Enlightener Cream Booster are blue chamomile and menthol, so it's really important when we are using Enlightener on the scalp that we put Enlightener Cream Booster in our formula to protect the scalp during processing. There's two primary uses for Enlightener Powder Lightener. The first is if you are trying to go beyond 5 levels of lift, and the second is when you need to remove color from the hair or pre-lighten the hair. Some tips for maximum blonding with Enlightener Powder Lightener. You will mix this in a 1:2 mixing ratio with your color catalyst. You can use 5 through 40 volume for off-the-scalp applications, but we don't recommend anything higher than 20 volume for on-the-scalp applications. You have two options for formulations for off-the-scalp applications. The first would be 1 scoop of Enlightener Powder Lightener, which equals 30 grams, mixed with 60 milliliters of your chosen color catalyst. If you are doing an on-the-scalp application of Enlightener, you would use 1 scoop of Enlightener Powder Lightener with 30 grams of Enlightener Cream Booster and 60 milliliters of 20 volume. The fourth result you can get with permanent hair color is customized results. The fourth base we're going to talk about is Universal Zero N. Universal Zero N is a clear, colorless gloss that delivers ultimate shine and condition on the hair. You can use it to add or decrease tone. It will decrease your lifting power in your formula, and you can also use it to create true fashion colors on the hair. The third color component we have for permanent hair color are pure pigments. We offer 3 primary and 3 secondary colors for pure pigments. These will create true fashion colors, and they are not recommended to be used in higher levels. Some formulation tips for pure pigments. If you are trying to create true fashion colors, you will want to pre-lighten the hair to pale yellow, and your formulation would be equal parts of your pure pigment with 5 volume color catalyst. Your processing time will be anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. If you want to add tonality to your natural base, you could use pure pigments in levels 3 through 6 by simply replacing the pure tone with your chosen pure pigment, and your processing time would be the recommended time for the color catalyst used. If you want to intensify a tonal family shade in levels 3 through 6, you could combine pure tones with pure pigments in equal parts, and your processing time would be the recommended time for the color catalyst chosen. We've talked about standard formulations and we've talked about intense formulations. To take it a little bit further and customize your formulas even more, we also have a vibrancy guide for you. If your guest wants a softer tonal result, you could choose a soft formula, which would be 50% less pure tone than the standard. So rather than using 2, 4, 6, or 8 grams of pure tone, we would use 50% less and use 1, 2, 3, or 4 grams of pure tone. If you want a stronger tonal result for your formula, you could do a strong formula. So instead of using the standard amount, we would use 50% more. So rather than 2, 4, 6, or 8 grams of pure tone, we would use 3, 6, 9, or 12 grams. If your guest is in between a standard formula and an intense formula, you do have the option of doing a bright formula, which is 20 grams of our natural series with 20 grams of intense base, and then double the pure tone for the level. So we would use 4, 8, 12, or 16 grams of pure tone. When you're formulating Aveda hair color, there are 4 steps to formulation. Step 1 is to determine your natural starting level. It's really important that we have a good understanding of where our guest is starting so that we can formulate properly. Step 2 is to determine our desired level and tone. You can do this during your consultation with pictures. Once you've determined your desired level, you'll want to know what the natural remaining pigment is at that level. That's going to help you formulate which pure tones you will use in your formula. Step 3 is to determine your formula, and then step 4 is to determine the volume and the amount of color catalyst that you will use to get there. At Aveda, we also offer a demi-permanent hair color, and that is our full spectrum deposit-only color treatment. Key features and benefits of deposit-only color treatment: it is 99% naturally derived. It will give results that last up to 8 weeks. It adds incredible shine and condition to the hair. It will blend up to 50% gray, and it has a rosy lavender aroma. Our full spectrum deposit-only color treatment is broken into 3 different components. We have 3 bases for you to choose from. We have our Natural Series, Pure Base, and Universal Zero N. Our color components consist of pure tones, both dark and light. And we also have a color treatment activator. We have 2 for you to choose from, liquid and cream. There are some key differences in components from permanent versus deposit only. In deposit only color treatment, we do not have a natural pure tone, and that's because we are only going to achieve gray blending and not gray coverage with deposit only color treatment. We also do not have extra lifting cream in deposit only color treatment. This color line only deposits, it does not lift. We do not have an intense base with deposit-only color treatment, and we have different types of activators. We have liquid and cream. We also do not have pure pigments in deposit-only color treatment or pastel tones. The 2 biggest differences between permanent and deposit-only color treatment are the use of light and dark pure base for intense red results. Because we don't have an intense base in deposit-only color treatment, we still have an option for you to create those intense, vibrant reds that will gradually fade from the hair. Our dark pure base is going to be your intense red base for levels 3 through 6 for deposit-only color, and our light pure base will be used in levels 7 through 10 when you want to achieve a vibrant red that gradually fades. The other main difference with deposit only is our different activator. We're not using color catalyst with deposit only color treatment. We're going to be using a color treatment activator, either the liquid or the cream, depending on the consistency and application that you choose. The formulation equations for deposit only color treatment are exactly the same as permanent hair color. If you have a base mixed with your color treatment activator, that will give you basic hair color. And if you choose your base with a color component and a color treatment activator, that will give you hair color with tone. With deposit-only color treatment, there are 3 primary uses. One is for gray blending. The second is for color balancing, glossing, and toning. And the third use is for pre-coloration or filling the hair. Some examples of formulation equations for deposit-only color treatment. If you mix your base with your color treatment activator, that will give you hair color. If you want to take your formula a step further, you could mix a base with a color component and a color treatment activator, and that would give you hair color with tone. If you choose to use pure tones with deposit-only color treatment, the same measurements apply as with permanent. So the rhyme of 2, 4, 6, 8, this is how we formulate, will still apply with deposit-only color treatment. Now that you know about deposit-only color treatment, let's talk about a really practical way to use it behind the chair. For color balancing on the mids and ends of your guest's hair, we would recommend either a natural tonal gloss or a color balance. A good rule of thumb is that if your guests' mids and ends of their hair have lost tone or faded up to one level, you could use a natural tonal gloss formula, which would be 20 grams of your Natural Series, 20 grams of Universal Zero N, and the standard amount of pure tone for the level that you're at. If your guests' mids and ends have faded up to 2 levels and lost tone, we would recommend a color balance formula, which would be 40 grams of your Natural Series and the standard amount of pure tone for the level you're at. For proper rinse and removal of Aveda hair color, we recommend shampooing with Color Conserve shampoo and conditioning with Color Conserve Finish. Color Conserve Finish will bring the hair back down to a neutral pH and stop any residual hair color from processing. At home, we recommend Aveda Color Conserve shampoo and Aveda Color Conserve conditioner. For more information, you can reference your paper color chart. Thank you so much for joining me today. I know that you will love Aveda hair color just as much as I do. With all of the customizable components, the possibilities really are endless. For more information, we have a technical hotline that you can call, 888-424-7707, or for additional information on courses being offered, please visit avedaeducation.com.